Today's topic is platform and architecture. So we are starting with the module 1. Okay. So we'll understand what are the platforms. Now here you can see like we have uh, basic model numbers like PA200, PA220, PA500, PA800. These all are basic model numbers. Like we have PA3000, PA5000. These are like medium series. Okay. And higher series, you can say like PA2 200 also you can count as a medium only, but it's like, you can take it like a higher also. You can take it like a higher also, and it's like, this is the highest one. So these two you can take as a higher, or you can say 50 your 50 to 100 series will be like higher plus medium. You can say it has almost all the capabilities. Okay. So one thing you might have noticed over here, all the model number has the starting with a PA, right? So PA is a basic in basically it's a like in introduction, or you can say like it's an indication. It's an indication of Palo Alto firewall. Yeah, check now. This PA, wherever you see written, it's basically an indication of firewall. Palo Alto is the kind of vendor, right? But a vendor also has different products, like it has a router, switches, wildfire, firewall. So wherever you see written PA, it means it's basically a firewall. Understand this and keep in mind. I might ask you later on, I might give you the questions wherein I'll ask you what's basically a PA indicated for. At that time, answer my question. I'll not be asking you these things in a simple way, but I'll ask in a complicated way. But definitely I'll be asking you. Now, these are the hardwares. See, firewalls, either it will be with the software or will be with the hardware. So these are only the two types. Okay. Now, further you separate it by the based on their features and all. That's a different case. Now, few more basic model numbers like PA 500, 200, 2000, 3000 series. And as I told you, like you can say this also as a medium only, but the higher will be like 7000 series, or 750 you can see as a model number over here. They all are indicated with PA. See, everywhere written as a PA. This all indicates the Palo Alto firewall. Okay, few more model numbers. In a 5000 series, you have like different model numbers like 50, 60, 50, 50, right? 50, 20. Along with that, you might see some differences like PA 200 gives you a throughput of 100 Mbps. It gives you a threat prevention throughput of 50 Mbps. It gives you 64,000 sessions creation capability. Okay. After that, you can see the same way the throughputs over here. Throughputs per model number you can see. Now these are like basic informations based on which you try to understand like what type of firewall would be suitable to your network. Okay. Now these are few VM model numbers, like VM comparisons. Like the very basic model number of the VM, if you want to see, like virtual firewalls, I told you firewalls are present in two variants, either software or hardware. So if you see software series of the firewall, Palo Alto firewall, you will see it will be indicated by VM50, VM100, VM200, and the highest is VM700. And here you can see their two throughputs. Including with the application and the firewall throughput, you will get the maximum throughput as a 200, 2 GB, 200 Mbps, 2 Gbps, 2 Gbps, 4 Gbps. So guys, right now the VM on which we are going to work will be like VM300. On this we are going to do a practicals. Okay. Okay, wait. Right now, at least this much you understood, right? Like it has a throughput of 100 MB, means 200 Mbps, 2 Gbps. Based on their features also, they have a separate throughput, right? The connections per second and the maximum sessions per second they can create. Step by step, let me make you understand. Okay, I'll tell you. So right now you see these differences. Now let's say, for example, Mustafa, in your organization you have 100 employees working, right? And in that scenario, one employee at a time, while visiting to the internet, how many connections he can create per second? A simple question. Okay, this question is for everyone. Everyone answer me. Let's say, for example, in your organization you have 100 employees, right? And that 100 employees at a time, let's say he wants to get an access to the internet, he might initiate the connection to Google, let's say. When he is initiating the connection to the Google, is he only initiating a single connection or multiple connections are getting created? Like what type of multiple connections are getting created? It can be 10 to 20 or less than that, but it will be more than 5 sessions. Like, see, DNS sessions will, first of all, DNS query will be there, DNS resolution will be there, right? And after that, again, HTTP or HTTPS request will be there, again reply will be there. In this way we have the multiple sessions getting created at a time. Agree on this, right? So assume, let's say, one guy at a time, when he is initiating the connection, he is initiating 5 connections. So at a time, like, how many connections will be there if 100 guys will be initiating? It will be like 500, means if you have the 100 employees and 5 connections, means it's like 500 connections getting initiated at a time, right? Correct. So just think about, the user is creating like 10 sessions, it will be like 1000, right? So what is the capacity of your firewall? It has 3000. So in future, let's say you thought, like, in future, like after 1 year or 2 year, 1 year or 2 years, you are going to add some employees. Like you might add like 5 employees or 10 employees. So based on thinking about the future, you decided, okay, maximum I would have like 3000 connections per second, right? So this firewall is fulfilling your requirement or not? Yes or no? VM50 is fulfilling your requirement? No, it is fulfilling, right? Let's say, for example, in future, if you are adding 50 users also, then it's like 2000 connections per second only, right? And here you can see how many connections per second it is showing here, 3000 connections per second. So extra buffer you are keeping over there, right? Like 1,000 connections per second buffer you already have, right? So it is almost fulfilling your requirement. But what if you are adding 100 more employees? In that scenario, this firewall might not be suitable for your network, right? Now you would require some more some more connections per second, right? Like if I have like 1,000 employees, I'm just saying, sorry, if I have like uh, 200 employees, now it's like a big number. So medium type of firewalls you would go with. Now you also need to think like what type of output you're taking with the firewall. What is the purpose of the using firewall in the network? Now here it's like connections per second, and it's like maximum sessions per second. Okay, maximum sessions that it can hold of IPv4 or the IPv6 is like 250,000. Now connections that got initiated, the connections that got initiated for per second and they kept on establishing the connection. So up to 2,250,000 connections it can hold up to as a currency. I mean, like a current session, right? That connection which has been already established. So it can hold up to 2,50,000 connections in its connection table. Okay. Out of that, if any connection goes, then what will happen? Firewall will not allow the connections. That's beyond its capacity, right? So you have to think about every aspects. Like you have to think about the current situation. You have to think about the upcoming 5-year situation. Now, this is just a simple thing. It's not, only these characters based on which you are going to propose. Now, if you are using the firewall for the threat preventing purpose, then for the threat throughput, you have only 1 Gbps. Now, 1 Gbps will be used for the threat prevention, and I have how many employees? 200 employees. And you want all these 200 employees while going outside, the threat prevention should be checked. You have to think about the bandwidth also now. So is this 1 Gbps bandwidth enough for the 200 employees for the threat prevention? So in the Palo Alto firewall, you have the option. You have the option like group wise or user wise or subnet wise. You can create the policy. Wherever you want the threat prevention to be applied, you can apply it, or else it will not get applied. So we have a different scenarios, different cases we have. Okay. So are you getting some idea like how would you propose for the firewall? Okay. Now let's say, for example, you're thinking about the VPN. In a VPN also, like you have to think about what type of VPNs are basically supported by your firewall. Like you want to get an access for IPsec VPNs. In IPsec, what algorithms you want to use? Per algorithm wise, what will be the throughput? Everything will differ. Your SSL VPN throughput you'll have separate, IPsec VPNs throughput you'll have separate. So it's basically up to you. How will you understand? First of all, you have to understand your requirement. What is your requirement? You are the person who is going to purchase the firewall, then you should be knowing your requirement, right? I told you last time, like when you go for purchasing a simple the mobile phone, then you are knowing what's your requirement, right? Then you are going to purchase it, right? The same way, when you try to purchase a firewall for your network, you should be knowing your network capacity, you should be knowing the future demand, you should be knowing the current demand, requirement, security, what outputs you want. All those perspectives you have to see, and based on that you have to choose like what type of firewall would be appropriate for you. And moreover, I'll talk about the specification, then you'll get more clarity on it. Okay. So as of now, you can see like in VM series, we have like 700 series, which gives you the 16 Gbps throughput, right? Guys, you can follow this link or you can Google it to see the new model numbers of the firewalls. I noticed that all appliances have app ID throughput and threat prevention throughput is half. Is there any specific reason for this? See, why not? Currently, whatever the firewalls you see, next generation firewalls, all the firewall by default includes application filtering. There is no way of excluding the application filtering. By default, it will be there. So if you want or you don't want, by default application filtering is happening. Though you might be allowing the applications by saying any, it's like you're allowing all the applications, but if you select any certain applications only, then it will allow only a certain applications. But by default, this threat prevention threat prevention is not coming over there. Okay. Now let's say, for example, I have 3 zones. I have a LAN zone, I have a WAN zone, I have a DMZ zone, right? When I want to communicate between LAN to WAN, LAN to DMZ, if I want to communicate, it's my private to private communication. You can trust private to private. Do you think you need to apply the content filtering while communicating between LAN to DMZ? Do you think? No. So you can exclude it. If you haven't applied the content filtering, then content filtering is not applied. You are not utilizing that throughput of content filtering between LAN to DMZ. But while communicating between LAN to DMZ, one thing is applied by default. That's your application throughput. It by default comes in your policy itself. Are you getting my point, what I'm saying? This is the difference. The throughput, the flow of traffic, I mean like the responsibility of the firewall throughput, including with app ID, is more than the threat prevention that we apply. That's the reason why it differs. Okay. Now, you might have the equations in your mind like, why should I go for the Palo Alto firewall? Why not a Checkpoint firewall? Checkpoint firewall is also a leader firewall in the market. Why should not I go for the Cisco firewall? They are also the good leader firewalls in the market. Why should I go for the 40? You could go for the 40 gate firewall also. Why to go for the Palo Alto firewall only? You might have these questions in your mind, right? Can anyone answer me why only the Palo Alto firewall? User friendly. Okay. All the GUI based firewalls are user friendly only, Sam. Compared to CLI, GUI is almost user friendly only, right? If you guys have to configure anything through the GUI, it's a user friendly only. But in a GUI also some complications will be there. But compared to CLI, obviously it will be user friendly. But yes, compared to 40-gate firewall, if you see, 40-gate is more user friendly than Palo Alto. Okay, it's like a router you are accessing. 40-gate is like you are accessing a router. Simple routers what you configure on your home networks. But still, Palo Alto is also very user friendly. Even your FTD Cisco firewall is also very user friendly. Okay. See, it's not a single thing. I don't deny that you said like it's a user friendly is not the reason. I say it is. But apart from that, we have many other reasons. So there is a vendor called Gartner Magic. Okay. What this company does is it keeps evaluating. Just a minute, guys. Yeah. So what I was saying is this Gartner Magic vendor will keep on generating the events or the reports every quarter. Means every after 3 months it will generate one report. So in a year it will generate like 4 reports evaluating the network security devices in our market. Okay. Since 2015, you can say the Palo Alto has taken a very good a number one position in the market. You can see we have a leaders, challengers, and the niche players. Under this, the Palo Alto comes under the leaders. And this Palo Alto firewall, since 2015, you can say it is beating all the firewalls. It is in the number one position. See, multiple characters are seen before evaluating, like how Palo Alto firewall is giving a tech support, how Checkpoint is giving the tech support, how Cisco is giving the tech support, how Fortinet is giving the tech support. Okay. After that, how reliable it is, which vendor is having less vulnerabilities, right? Multiple characters are there. Okay. Whose like application based app id based features are very good, layer 7 inspections are good, which are reliable firewalls on which we can trust. So based on multiple factors, based on cost, based on everything, they are going to evaluate and find out which is the best firewall in the market. So in that comparison, since 2015, Palo Alto is at the number one. Okay. It's at the first position. See, this report I had taken in 2016. Okay. Before that, if you see, there was a, if you see 2013, 14, Checkpoint was at the top. Okay. And Cisco was there. There was no Fortinet. Okay. But since 2015 onwards, you see Palo Alto has come at the top. If you see, even see the current one, you guys can go to the Gartner Magic's website and see all the reports, and you can receive after registration, you can receive all the reports to your email ID. This is 2018 September. Palo Alto at the top, Fortinet at the second top, third Cisco, and fourth as a Checkpoint. And this pattern is going on. If you guys will Google it also, see all the vendors will be attaching like Gartner Magic's report. Even the Cisco is attaching. Even the Gartner Magic has its own website. Okay. You can see firewall wise, all the firewall wise, they will be having their own Gartner Magic Report. Okay. Later on, you guys can see here. Okay. As of now, right now, I hope I can see here under the images, like let's say 2019, if you want to see for the firewall. This is on the Fortinet Firewalls website. They have posted. See what they have posted over here. Palo Alto as the highest, Fortinet, Cisco, and the Checkpoint. Huawei is also coming under the challengers. And we have the other firewalls, like we have Barracuda. Okay, we have a Stealth Watch. We have the WatchGuard. We have the Sonic Wall. Right. Other firewalls also we have, like Sophos, ForcePoint. See, I don't say these firewalls are not good. They all are like, you know, feature wise, it depends on the feature wise. All the features are not good. Overall, feature wise, these four firewalls are very good. These four vendors are very much good. Okay. But there are few things like, for monitoring purpose, my Sophos is very much good with the firewalling. It gives you a live visibility, such kind of things. So, you know, it depends on the task, it depends on the output that you want, and which particular vendor firewall gives you the maximum output as per your requirement. That depends. Okay. So you'll be choosing those firewalls. Even you will see the budget wise, these firewalls will cost you less. These firewalls will cost you very high. Okay. In that, Palo Alto will cost you very high. Okay. Now let's talk about the history of the Palo Alto firewall. When was the Palo Alto firewall created, guys? And who is the founder of Palo Alto firewall? See, first of all, go to Palo Alto wiki. You'll find a Neerjuk. Basically, he's a co-founder of the Palo Alto networks. He is the co-founder of the Palo Alto networks. These are the key peoples, okay, of your Palo Alto networks, right? And these are the products like they have created. And if you see, the headquarter of Palo Alto is in California, okay? Now, tell me, guys, do you have any idea who is the Neerjuk? Sorry?
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's one color.
Sorry, I'm not getting you. You can text me. Hey, who is connected with this name, A or U N?
That is me, Arun.
Arun, please write your real name, or else,
Yes.
you
Yes,
know,
yeah.
while checking in between, if I see any suspicions, I'll simply remove it. So please
Yeah,
connect with your real name.
Yeah, okay.
Now, guys, I'm going to show you Now let me show you where did this Nirjuk work. Okay, Nirjuk. Mm, those who have attended my checkpoint classes, they might be knowing this. Okay. Now in this, uh, okay. Over many years, many employees who worked at the checkpoint had left to start their own software companies, right? These included even a Nirjuk, okay? See, a guy who, this guy had started the Imperva. Nirjuk had founded Palo Alto Networks. In this way, like toughen all these firewall workers, I mean, like the founders, were basically under working under the checkpoint. Okay, so they were actually working under the same roof, and from there they splitted, right? And they, started their own companies. Even the FortiGate has the same history. Okay, so almost they were working together. Later on, they splitted and they created their own type of the firewalls with a certain function differences. So I hope you understood, right? So if you want to see the history of the Palo Alto firewall, just Google it out, find out when did it got created, all those stuff. Now discussing about the specification over here. Okay, in this specification, you guys can see like comparison between multiple firewalls. Like you can see model numbers, like we have very basic model numbers over here, and they have done the comparison with firewall throughput, thread throughput, IPsec VPN throughput, and new sessions per second. And see the comparisons over here: 1 Gbps, 600 Mbps, 250 Mbps, 8000. Similarly, performance and the capabilities wise and hardware specification wise, they have given the comparison between these firewalls. Between these firewalls, they have given some uh, the hardware specifications. So okay, let's see the performance and the capabilities wise. Throughput 1 Gbps, 500 Mbps, 250, 250. Threat prevention throughput, IPsec throughput. Now, if you are purchasing a firewall for the VPN creation and you are going to implement the IPsec as a VPN, then just think about the throughput, the maximum throughput for the IPsec VPNs, you guys are going to get like 300 Mbps. Now, if you want to allocate like 1 Mbps to one user, then if you have 300 employees, then this will be like used with 300 MB, the employees with 1 Mbps. In future, if you require more in that condition, this firewall model number would not be suitable for you. You can see the news connections per second, maximum session, and you can see new thing like written as a virtual system over here, right? That virtual system is indicated with the medium type of firewalls, not available with your basic model numbers. So these are like basic differences feature wise that you have with the basic model numbers and the higher model numbers. Okay, basic model numbers will have the limited features, or it will not have the higher firewalls supporting features. Okay, Like, how many of you know about the virtual system? What is virtual system? Okay, let me indicate this virtual system based on Cisco. In Cisco, you will call it as a multi-context firewall. Okay, in FortiGate, you will call it as a VDOM. Okay, or you might call it as a multiple firewalls. In a single firewall,
It will be HVD also comes under that one only.
what?
HVD,
HVD.
hosted virtual systems means this one only, right?
Hosted virtual system. In which vendor you use this term?
Citrix.
Might be, I'm not aware of that. Okay, so like in checkpoint firewall, you call it as a virtual VDOM, virtual system, or in a Cisco, you call it as a like a multi-context. So those who have done the Cisco ASA firewall, or those who have gone through Cisco FTD firewall, you might be knowing like the VSys. You might be knowing like a multi-context. Like you have a single hardware. Okay. In a hardware only this is supported. This is not supported feature with the virtual softwares. It is only supported with the hardwares. In a hardware, let's say physically this is only one firewall. Okay, but internally, virtually, I'm going to break into multiple firewalls, and I can allocate these firewalls. I can use this each firewalls as a individual firewalls. This will act like a individual firewalls. Okay, so it's like breaking a physical firewall into multiple virtual firewalls. And you guys can see here, maximum that you can create is like six. Okay, so creating like a multi-context, or creating the multiple firewalls, or breaking your physical firewall into multiple virtual firewalls, and each firewalls will act like a single firewall. Such type of functionality we basically called as a virtual system. Okay, did you guys understand what did I say? Virtual system. Yes, VSX. How about others? Okay, now see here, you have a base and you have the max. Base means when you are purchasing a firewall, with a firewall, when you get a base license, right? With the base license, how many virtual systems you are getting? In this medium type of firewalls, you are getting by default only one. It means you can't create a multiple virtual firewalls. If you want to create a multiple virtual firewalls, then you have to purchase a license, and it will support a maximum up to 6 virtual firewalls in these basic model numbers. So you can say like from the PA 2000 onwards, like a virtual system gets started supporting. Below that, you can see it's not available. Okay, even they have not included it. You can see this are not in, you can see not available. Okay, now coming with the hardware specifications, even different model numbers are indicated here. Okay, you can see these all are the model numbers, those are compared. These things are not important to get compared with these basic firewalls. These things are compared only when you take medium or the higher firewalls. Now you can see like interfaces supported. What are the speeds supported by the interfaces over here? You can see the same thing supported by each and every firewalls, right? like we have a 24 ports, okay, 8 ports. So basically we can include the extra interfaces or not. What is the you have this, you know, dedicated management interfaces, and it is used for what purposes, right? RJ45 type of connector. So all these informations are there. Apart from that, okay, you can see like a rack mountable. Can you fit in the rack or not? What will be the size, rack size? Okay. After that, the power redundancy is there or not, or what type of, you know, how much power would be consumed by such firewalls. You can see this firewall will include like 4 power supplies of 2500 watt, right? It can also have like 2400 or 2700 watt for DC, and for AC you can see. After that, you do have the redundancy. Okay, these model numbers will have the redundancy as well, but this will be the power output or the, you know, sorry, the power input required. These model numbers, these power inputs will be required. After that, you can see the power redundancy is yes, available, yes, yes, no in these particular model numbers. After that, hard disk size supported with the 2 TB. Also, the hot fan, hot swap fans supported. Okay, and you can also see they are also supporting the red type of red 1, red 10, red 0 type of, you know, the hard drives. Do you guys have any idea what is red type of hard drives? Have you guys heard about the mirroring of the hard drive? Replication of the data, correct? Mirroring of the data. Now let's say, for example, if I have let's say if I have two hard drives, in between, if one hard drive is filled, do you think your task will be stopped? No, right? If you have done, if you have the red type of hard drives, there you can do the mirroring. So what will happen is like one hard drive is filled, the same model number of the hard drive you have to insert it again, and automatically that hard drive will get configured based on your previous you know, the mirrored type of the hard drive on which you have already done the mirroring. So based on that, between the two hard drives, let's say for example we have two hard drives and both are mirrored, means mirroring has been done between them, and the first hard drive filled. So this hard drive is having all those things which was present in the previous firewall, previous hard drive. Okay, and you took out this particular means a hard drive, and you inserted a new hard drive. So whatever the mirroring was done on this, it will automatically reflect on this, and this will get means again it will get automatically configured. You don't have to do anything. Such type of mirroring capabilities you have. Okay, and let's say they are giving 2 TB, means out of 2 TB it won't give you the entire 2 TB. They will keep something like out of 2 TB you might be getting like 1.5 TB only, or it depends. You have to understand based on their requirements. So I hope you guys understood what's basically a RAID functionality. In a RAID also you have multiple types of hard drives. You can also have the SSD supporting with the RAID. Okay, you can have the SSD hard drives or you can have the RAID. This is the optional, and you can see the hard drives getting supported. Okay, and again coming to like general functionalities comparisons over here, like with a basic medium and the higher model numbers, you can see like a PA7050 supporting like 120 Gbps of throughput, 20 Gbps, 10 Gbps, 5 Gbps, 4 Gbps, 2 Gbps type of the throughputs. And you can see You can see the comparisons over here, like threat prevention, IPsec, maximum sessions, new sessions per second, maximum sessions. And with the firewall, by default, it will get 25 virtual systems, and maximum you can create up to 225 with the license. Maximum you can create a license, you can purchase a license. So you can see here, as per the model numbers, how much it will be supported over here with the virtual systems. So guys, by looking at this specification based on your platforms, did you get the basic idea like what type of firewall you will be choosing? Especially Mustafa, this was your question. Did you understand now? Okay. Now talking about the key features. When you say key features, like for what the Palo Alto firewall is well known, that's basically a key features. Now you can see we have the firewall features. In a firewall, we have the applications. That's your, this is system defined applications, right? And you can also create your customizable applications if the application is not present in your system. Now you can also create the policies and control you can create the policies and control it based on the users or group or IP address, applications, application category, subcategory, technology, risk factor, characteristics. You can create the sessions, or you can create a policy based for the SSL decryption, inspection, inbound, outbound, per policy, SSH, inbound, outbound. You can create IPsec, site-to-site VPN. You can create the remote access VPN. You can integrate your firewall with external identity stores like Active Directory, LDAP, Citrix, multiple things. And also the Palo Alto firewall supports API. That's your application programming interface, and it's upcoming a type of accessing method of the firewall. You do have the threat prevention, for which a subscription is required. You do have the modern malware protection, which is a wildfire, and for this also subscription will be required. It depends. You want the local device to be installed in your data center, or you want the cloud-based service for the wildfire. See, the cloud-based services are required for the small organizations, but for the big organizations, they implement their own type of, they purchase the device itself. They don't take the cloud services for it. URL filtering, you can go, there is a on box, customizable URL filtering, customizable category. You do have the safe search engine. How many of you guys are aware of safe search engine functionality in a URL filtering? Any idea? Correct. Let's say, can you give some example, Vargav? Okay. Now, let's say, for example, if I want to, I'm working in a big company called Wipro. Okay. I'm the employee of Wipro. See, that is search engine like DuckDuckGo. Okay, we have a Google, Bing, Yahoo, right? Now listen what I'm saying. Let's say, for example, I'm a worker or the employee of Wipro company. I am a network security engineer, right? And one day, what I started doing is I started searching by sitting in my network, by sitting in the Wipro office. I started searching how to create a AK-47 gun, and I started searching how to create a time bomb, all this stuff. After a few time, what he will, after a few days, what will happen? You know, the cyber cell or the cyber crime cell of the India started tracking, okay, time bomb, okay, like creating how to make a AK-47, such type of things. They started finding, you know, those keywords coming from the location of Wipro, right? And that guy, now Wipro is in suspect. They started searching who is that guy who is actually searching those things in a Wipro. And you know, behind you, after some time, you might find, you know, you are the most suspected people uh, in the India, such things. So do you want such things to happen? Do you want the Wipro let you happen these things? No, right? They want the big companies, they don't want any companies, either is they small or big, anyone don't want like their reputation, characters, things to be get destroyed, right? So if you guys want to, you know, save the search engine, if you want to take a control on the search engine, like you don't want the unwanted type of the search should happen through your search engines like Google, Bing, Yahoo and all, then you are going to enable the safe search. That's basically safe search. Apart from this, you have the file and the data filtering. You have the quality of service VPN. In a VPN also you have the multiple VPNs. You can go with a side-to-side VPN, or you can go with the SSL or IPsec VPN. You can go with a remote access VPN. uh, Mobile security, okay, you do have the networking, like we have dynamic routing protocol supported like BGP, OSPF, RIP, different firewall interface types like tap mode, virtual wire, layer 2, layer 3. We have 802.1q VLAN tagging supported in a layer 2 or the layer 3. In a layer 2, if it is working with the layer 2 firewall, in a layer 3, if you are creating the sub interfaces, then you need the VLAN tagging. It supports the translation, it supports the DHCP, it also supports the DHCP relay agent, it supports IPv6. In IPv6 also it supports the different types of interfaces, and it also supports the user app ID, content ID, wildfire and SSL decryption in IPv6. These were the part of IPv4. Even in IPv6, this many characters are supported. Plus it supports the multicast and the HA, redundancy. So at least when you go for the Palo Alto firewall interviews and all, please remember these things. At least you can say these are the key features of the Palo Alto firewall. Then they will understand, yes, you know what is, you know, the Palo Alto firewall known for, at least. Say, after this training, if any new feature is getting added, then don't think why sir didn't tell me like this feature will also get included in the firewall. That's not my job, right? You have to keep on searching, like what are the new the functionalities added, the key features added with the Palo Alto firewall based on the version, based on the model numbers. Those things are your responsibilities. You're understanding, right, what I'm saying? Okay. See, these are the few resources I had given to see the different firewalls. Okay, but these might be old resources. These resources I had taken from the Google itself. I had searched it. I had found the genuine sites. Okay, you guys can also now Google it and find out. Now the another major topic is the architecture. This is very much important topic. Okay, so to understand this architecture, first of all, the entire time will be required. In a half an hour, it is not possible to discuss with the architecture. Okay, let me give, I'll discuss about this architecture tomorrow. Let me give you a brief about this means the overall summary with of your Palo Alto firewall. See, your Palo Alto firewall is differentiated, or it has two different planes over here. Like we have the control plane and we have a data plane. Okay, guys, I have a question for you, and you have to find the answer for it before coming for the class tomorrow. You will find out the you'll find out the features of the control plane and the data plane. You'll find details summary about the control plane of the Palo Alto firewall and the data plane of the Palo Alto firewall. Okay, these two are my questions. Okay, tomorrow before starting the class, I'll ask you guys, what did you understand, or what are the characters about the, or what did you get the information about the control plane and the data plane, and also the differences between the control plane and the data plane. Okay, after that, if I discuss about the architecture, it will be more understandable. Okay, now here we have like the Palo Alto operating system is known as a PAN OS. It's a Palo Alto Networks operating system, and it's a customized FreeBSD operating system, which is a Linux based on the Linux. So basically, your PAN OS is a customized FreeBSD. Okay, it's a Linux based operating system. They have made the Linux operating system as a base, and on top of that, they have a hardened it. Hardened is like they have stopped some features, they have customized the operating system, and they created their own operating system, and they give the name as a PAN OS. What is the Cisco's operating system known as? What is Cisco's operating system known as? iOS. What is Checkpoint Firewall's operating system known as? Gaia. Correct. The same way, Palo Alto has its own operating system, and that is known as PAN OS. Okay. After that, firewall. Okay, Palo Alto firewall is a zone-based firewall. It's an object-oriented firewall. You can create the object of IP addresses. You can create the object of subnet. You can create a group of it, apply to the policies, apply to the translation. Multiple things can be done. But it's completely zone-based firewall, keep in mind. Interfaces should be configured to the respective zones in order to work. By default, services like ping, SSH, HTTPS are not enabled at a data interface. Remember, tomorrow when you'll give the answer for the data interface or the data plane and the control plane, after this, these things will be understood. Okay. So tomorrow we are going to understand architecture. We are also going to understand about these services. Okay. And we are also going to finish up the packet flow. So these are the three major things that we are going to complete tomorrow. Okay. Remember, keep in mind, all of you please take a note of this. By default, services like ping, SSH, HTTPS or any services are not enabled at data interfaces. I just gave you example like ping, SSH, HTTPS. Like this, whatever the services you have are not enabled on data interface. But when you talk about the management interface or the control plane interface, by default, only ping, SSH, and HTTPS, these three services are by default enabled at the management interface. Say in the entire firewall session, I'll ask you what are the services enabled by default at the data interface and what are the services enabled at the management interface by default. So please keep in mind and remember, by default at the data interfaces, none of the services are enabled. Nothing is enabled by default. And at the management interface, three services are enabled like ping, SSH, and HTTPS. Okay. Tomorrow, when we'll understand the packet flow of the firewall, then you will understand in a zone-based firewall, it takes a decision based on the zones. So we'll understand security policies should be created to communicate between the multiple zones. Like I have a LAN zone, I have a WAN zone. So between these two zones, I have to create a policy to make the communication. Now inside this policy, I'll define the multiple parameters. This will be my source zone, this will be my destination zone, right? So only I can communicate between source to destination, not from destination to the source. This is not allowed. Only unidirectional is allowed, not the bidirectional. Okay. Traffic is only unidirectional from source to destination, not from destination to the source. So these are the behaviors of the firewalls, and these things we'll understand in depth in the further classes. Okay. So guys, please complete the task what I told you so that you guys can understand this architecture and the packet flow properly. Okay. Okay. I want all of you guys to share your email IDs. Please drop down your email IDs.